dreams and nightmares, darkness and light, the real and the imagined. These were the realms inhabited by French artist Odilon Redon, a visionary who peered into the deepest recesses of the human psyche and brought forth images of haunting beauty and enigmatic power. Born in 1840 in Bordeaux, Bertrand Jean Redon acquired the nickname Odilon from his mother, a Creole woman originally from Louisiana. A sickly and solitary child, Odilon spent much of his youth daydreaming at his family's rural estate in the Médoc region of France. It was here, amidst the quiet solitude of the countryside, that the seeds of his creative imagination first took root. After failing his architectural exams, Redon began studying art, first in his hometown and later in Paris. But his true education came from the paintings of Delacroix that he copied in the museums and the tutelage of the eccentric printmaker Rodolphe Bresdin, who inducted the young artist into the mysteries of charcoal and lithography. These black and white techniques would form the core of Redon's early work, a phantasmagoric realm he called his noir. Guardian Spirit of the Waters from 1878 is a prime example. A disembodied head with brutish features, yet benevolent eyes floats on wings above a watery abyss, while a tiny sailboat glides across the tranquil surface below. The scene seems like something out of a dream, at once serene and unsettling. And this, in fact, was the effect Redon was aiming for. He wanted his art, as he put it, to place us in the ambiguous realm of the undetermined. Another lithograph, The Eye Like a Strange Balloon from 1882, shows just how far Redon's imagination could take him beyond the borders of the natural world. Here, a single eye morphs into the basket of a hot air balloon, carrying with it a severed head on a platter as it rises toward an infinite sky. If this image seems like something out of the Surrealist playbook, that's no coincidence. The Surrealists saw Redon as a visionary precursor to their own efforts to unleash the unconscious mind. Not all of Redon's bizarre creations were purely invented, though. Take the Smiling Spider from 1887. With its fuzzy round body balancing on spindly legs and flashing a toothy, maniacal grin, this creature could only exist in some twisted fantasy. Or could it? In fact, Redon was a keen student of the natural sciences. He pored over anatomical texts, frequented Paris's Museum of Natural History, and examined organisms under the microscope. His monstrous hybrid beings, then, grew out of his observations of the real world, however much his creative genius transformed them into something rich and strange. In the 1890s, a major shift occurred in Redon's art as he began exploring the radiant possibilities of colour, especially in the medium of pastel, which he mastered like no one before. His pastels of the 1900s, often depicting delicate bouquets of flowers, are symphonies of luminous hues. Yet even here that aura of otherworldly mystery persists. The flowers seem to float against abstract backgrounds, glowing from within like apparitions. Redon once remarked that his floral pastels existed at the confluence of two riverbanks, that of representation and that of memory. In other words, he sought to capture not just the outward appearance of his subjects, but the poetic essence of the emotions they stirred within him. This symbolist approach can be seen in major late works like the decorative panels he made in 1910-11 for a private library. In them he revisited motifs from throughout his career: the noir, the flowers, the portraits, the mythological scenes, weaving them all together into an enigmatic tapestry of forms and colours. Redon was a true artist's artist, admired by great painters like Gauguin and Matisse, not to mention literary luminaries like J.K. Huysmans and Stéphane Mallarmé, whose poetic explorations of dreams and the imagination paralleled his own. By the time of his death in 1916, just as the guns of World War I were tearing the old order apart, he was hailed as a modern master. A century later, Redon's art has lost none of its ability to fascinate, charm and mystify. His haunting images linger in the mind's eye like the fragments of a half-remembered dream. They seem to say to us, As the artist once wrote, "I have often, as an exercise and as sustenance, painted an object down to the smallest accidents of its visual appearance. But the day left me sad and with an insatiable thirst." The next day I let the other source run, that of imagination, through the recollection of the forms, and I was reassured and appeased. This interplay of the real and unreal, meticulously observed details, and wild flights of fancy, external appearances and internal visions. This is the secret key that unlocks the enduring power of Odilon Redon's matchless creations. In his own day, and in ours, he remains the supreme painter-poet of the inward gaze, an artist who saw with his eyes shut, so the rest of us might dream with eyes wide open.